So, Leafs fans are not happy with the way that Jonathan Quick was playing last night in terms of he should have got penalties. And certainly Quick's got a temper. And he's not the only one. So, the one thing that I've noticed over the years is that some of the best goalies are also some of the most temperamental. On the left here, we have the current top 10 penalty minute leading goaltenders for their careers. On the right, the top 10 penalty minute goaltenders of all time. Now, don't get confused here. This is Mike Smith of Calgary. This is Billy Smith of the Islanders. This list on the left is nowhere near as ornery as the list on the right. Ron Hextall, 584 penalty minutes, would legit try to take your head off in certain cases. Billy Smith, don't go near his crease. Barrasso, yeah, he fought quite a bit. Belfort was nasty. Van Beesbrook, much the same. No, he had a nice guy reputation, but get in his crease, get in his face, and he'd be in the box. Well, he wasn't in the box. He'd get the penalty and somebody else go in the box to represent him. Sean Burke, yeah. I remember the game where Vancouver ran over Dominik Hasek. So Buffalo, the next shift, decided to run over Burke. Burke met the guy halfway to the blue line, tooled him. I don't remember if it was Rob Ray or Brad May. I know it was one of the two. Anyways, it was funny. As a Canuck fan at the time, it was funny. Don Beaupre, Mike Vernon, Patrick Waugh. These two famously knew each other well. And Dan Bouchard of the Atlanta Flames. This list, legit made up of guys who were willing to fight and take penalties regularly. This list is made up of goaltenders who do their best not to. The days of a goaltender getting penalty minutes like that, I don't think we'll ever see it come back. Now, Quick is on this list. He's right ahead of Price. Now, in terms of hotheads, Smith definitely. Fleury, no, I don't qualify Fleury as a hothead really, but I'll give it to Luongo, Quick, Price, and the rest. But see, when you're competitive, when you see yourself as the best, and it's not an ego thing in terms of being arrogant, it is just a confidence thing. For Jonathan Quick right now, his team is at the top. The pressure on him is big, and he excels under pressure. He also excels when he's angry. Part of the 2012 push to the Stanley Cup by the Kings was just Quick had a chip on his shoulder the whole time. When you've got a goaltender with a chip on his shoulder, it can be impressive to watch. Part of the reason I think why Devan Dubnyk has been so good for the Minnesota Wild since they picked him up isn't just goalie coaching and changing the way he plays the position. It's a chip on his shoulder that he was discarded by numerous teams, and he was like, all right, I'm going to prove that they made a mistake. I'm going to prove the Oilers made a mistake. I'm going to prove that Arizona should have kept a hold of me, that Nashville should have kept a hold of me, that Montreal shouldn't have just ditched me. So for Dubnyk, he's had a chip on his shoulder. These guys always had a chip on their shoulders. And it's funny because when people complain about Quick and the stuff he's doing, I'm old enough to remember Hextall, and all I can think is, if you think that's bad, oh boy. If you'd seen Smith, Smith, if you got close enough to his crease, he would legit just take his stick with one hand and right on the back of the knees. You're a little too close, you're going down. He took penalties for it, but after he cracked some guys on the back of the knees, they didn't want to go near the net. It wasn't worth the power play if you couldn't walk. You can't walk, you can't skate, you're probably going to stay out of the crease. And Hextall famously almost took Chelios' head off in the playoffs and got penalized and suspended for that. I was surprised he didn't get a longer suspension out of that, to be honest. So, I agree. Jonathan Quick is temperamental. And fans on the East Coast may not realize that because they don't see him as often as we do on the West Coast. Absolutely, he's temperamental. And when he turned around and slammed the net with his stick, if you're just watching that in a vacuum, so the goal goes in, he turns around and smashes the net with his stick, you think, wow, they must be getting killed. Not that they were up 5-2 at the time. The 5-2 lead And the fact that he still turns around and smokes the net with his stick shows how competitive he is. And that's part of what makes him the best at his position. At least one of the best. He's at least in the conversation right now with the start he's had. He's been fantastic. So, I know there are people who want to complain about Quick, and absolutely you can. But to me, he just follows a line of goaltenders who the ego's there, the temper's there. A recent example of this, and a goalie who I think might have excelled in the 80s would have been Ray Emery. Ray Emery absolutely had a temper, and I think in the 80s he would have been very popular with teams that coveted these goalies. Because he was willing to fight to protect his crease and his teammates. And the other thing is, Quick's fired up, willing to fight, willing to slash, hook, poke, check, trip. In the case of Jacob Markstrom in the game I watched against Dallas the other night, Jacob Markstrom tripped a guy going behind the net. Some goalies do that. I'll just stick my leg out. It can be frustrating for other teams and other teams' fans, absolutely. But wouldn't you want a guy like that playing behind you in net? Wouldn't you want to know that your goaltender isn't going to take any BS from the other team? None at all. Personally, I think Jonathan Quick's one of the best goalies in the league. I totally understand why people would be mad at certain plays that he makes. Does he take liberties? Yep. He has done it for years. And that's why he's on the list. Is because he does take liberties. For instance, when you look at the active list, and I'm looking at the active list right now, he's played 503 games. He's got 44 penalty minutes. Luongo has 46, and Luongo's played roughly 400 more games than he has. Next on the list, Miller has 48, and he's played, let's look at the games totals, 710, 970, 503. So there you go. I mean, Quick is on a pace to end up being at the top of this list at some point. The interesting part is that Mike Smith, who has 111, has only played 486 games. Next up on the list, Fleury's played 695. He's got 56 penalty minutes. So really, realistically, with this being number 2 on the list, and he's played 695 games, there's an argument that can be made that Jonathan Quick will own this list at some point soon. So temperamental goalies. Remember, this is your current leader for career. 111 penalty minutes. And that's your all-time leader. 584. And just for comparison, I'm going to load up the all goalies again here. Number 10 on this list, Dan Bouchard, had 255 penalty minutes. So in terms of goalies playing dirty or bending their rules, yeah, we're nowhere near where we were. Nowhere near. Patrick Waugh was vicious. Mike Vernon, small goaltender, played with a chip on his shoulder, kind of had to. And you stayed out of these guys' creases. Because if you didn't, the fight was on. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And if you have a goalie that's not in this list that you think was either tough as nails or you think took too many liberties, let me know in the comment section. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you guys for watching. You guys being out there makes it worth being in here. I'll talk to you again soon.